at the elbow. Not the best way to do this because it's like, let's do it. I'm going to have to TV that is fast. For the rest of your block. So let's have you, sweetheart, and you, sweetheart, represent this group, if you don't mind. And come up here and talk to me about what's happening with this problem. So tell your group, what were the 3 strategies we were trying to connect from whole numbers to our mixed numbers? Talk to your group. What were those 3 strategies again? Well, I get these guys ready. Talk to your group.
So regrouping, adding on,
Okay, so come back with me. What were the strategies we're trying to do? Yes.
We were trying to do
Regrouping. What else? Adding up or?
I think it was called
The interesting one. We're going to call it the interesting strategy, right? We kept the distance the same. Okay, so these, tell me your name, sweetie.
I'm
Indy? Izzy, I knew this. We talked at number talks. Izzy and, say that? Anusham. Did I say that right? Awesome. So Izzy and Anusham are going to talk to us about what they're doing. So here's the rules when people are sharing. We're not going to play with their blocks, pattern blocks anymore. Hands in your lap and turn around if you are not facing the screen, so you can see what Izzy and Anusham, because we're going to be talking about what they're doing. I'm going to have you asking questions. I'm going to have you thinking about what they're doing. So start talking to me about your thought process. I want you to think, what strategy did they use?
So
Go ahead.
first we had 5 holes, but then it said they had 2 and 1/3, so we couldn't.
Can I stop you for just a second? Talk to your neighbors. What do those 5 hexagons represent? Turn and talk. All right, come back with me. What do those 5 hexagons represent, everybody? Yes.
5 holes of wood.
5 pieces of wood, right? And there are holes. So keep going, Izzy.
So they had 2 holes and 1/3. So we had to say, so this is how much they have, and then these 2/3 is what they're going to have left of the thirds, and then they're going to have 3 holes left. Wait, no, 2 holes left, because these are going to equal 1 hole, and these are going to equal 4.
Okay, so stop right there. Look at what she has. Push that back up there where you had it. Those yellow ones back where you had it. Oh, let me put it back like you. Yeah, sorry. Let's try to get you to pause so we can look at your beautiful model. Maybe if I can get them back together. So here's what she did. Look at that. Now just a second ago there were 5 yellow ones. Now there's not. Turn and tell your neighbor, what did she do? What strategy is it that they're using? All right, so coming back with me, talk to me. Somebody tell me what Izzy just did here. What's she doing and what strategy is that? Yes.
She's taking the 2/3 and the 1/3 and adding them together to make a whole.
Oh, so Izzy, is that what you did? Or did you just trade them out for 3/3?
I did them as a whole.
So she found them as a whole, but she's thinking about what makes my whole is 2/3 and 1/3. So we started out with our problem was we had 5 holes. What were we taking away? 2 and what?
2 and 1/3.
2 and 1/3. Do y'all see that? That was the problem we were solving. Do you agree? So Izzy took that 5 and she decomposed it into 4 and what? What did you see? What do we have? 4 holes and what?
3/3.
Oh, 3/3, right? So now she has her 4 holes and 3. Why does this help? Turn and tell your neighbors. Why do we need this to be 3/3? Why does it help Izzy solve the problem? Turn and talk. All right, so come back. So why does it help to trade those out? Why does it help?
It makes it easier. It breaks down the numbers a little bit.
Yeah. So we can pull those. How much do we have to pull off? Show us what you did next. You had to pull off what?
So
because Blake used how much?
He used 2 1/3.
So you had to take that off. She's removing it.
Yeah. And then this is
Ah.
how much he had left.
Before she decomposed that, before she regrouped that, could she pull off those thirds?
No.
They weren't there, were they? Just like when we did our base 10, we couldn't take that 8, 7 away because it wasn't there. We had to change it to a different form from 10s to 1s in the same way. So we did that here. We regrouped it, and then we subtracted our wholes, and we subtracted our fractional pieces, and we ended up with 2 2/3. So they did regrouping to solve this problem. How many of you did regrouping to solve? I saw a bunch of you doing regrouping, but I also saw some people doing another strategy. Do you mind leaving your blocks up there? Would you go have a seat? Thank you so much for sharing. I want you guys to share what you were doing when but I want you to use this problem, even though it was a different problem. How you started with. We'll go and talk about that. So tell me your name, sweetheart.
Connor.
Connor's going to share some thinking on Blake's same problem, but a different thought process. So let's listen to him and see how is it different than what Izzy's group just shared. So this is what his group was working on. Remember, not playing with blocks, hands in your lap, listening to Blake. Blake, right? Connor.
So, as every Boy Scout started out with 5, and then when as they used the wood for the project, they lost one hole, and then it split up into 2 2 2/3, and then 1 1/3, and we got 2 2/3 because our hole was we had to break that one hole down to 3/3 to get that, and so on our paper what we did was we just added up 2/3 and 1/3 and the 2 and 2 to get so what we added was we added
So what'd you
these
start
2
with?
together and these 2 together. We started out with
Did you start out with what Blake had, 2 1/3? Or did you start out with something else?
we kind of started out with like what Blake had and like tried to figure out what we needed to add to get to 5.
Okay.
And
Oh, did you
so-
hear what he said? Who can tell me what he just said? We started out with what? What Blake had. What did Blake have? Everybody at your table, look at your blocks and talk to your table and show what Blake had to start with. And Connor, would you show for us what Blake had to start with?
And then she put the little 1 and 3/4.
So what did Blake have to start with?
We started out with 5.
Blake had 5 to start with? Where does it say that? He had 5. And I guess I answered that question wrong. What I'm asking is, how much did Blake use? I should have said that way. What I need to know is how much did Blake use? I want you to show me how much Blake used. I'm sorry, I didn't answer that question wrong.
2 1/3.
Okay, so back up here with Connor. Connor, show us what you had for what Blake used. Somebody tell Connor what he should have up here to show what Blake used. What should he have on the Elmo to show what Blake used? What should he do? Somebody tell me. He should have 2 and what? 2 1/3. Connor, can you show that? So there's 2 1/3, right? And then Connor said to us, he added on to get to what? What's he adding on to get to? 5. How is that like our strategy we used before? So if he added on, he's at 2 1/3 on the number line, right? Turn and talk to your neighbors. What do you think Connor should add on next? Turn and talk to your neighbors. What should he add on next? What would you add on next? All right, back with me. So if Connor is sitting here on a number line, and he's trying to add up, and he's got the model for us, what would you think would be the most logical thing for him to add on next? What do you think?
2 2/3.
So he's going to add on a whole 2 2/3? Can he do that?
1/3.
Only 1/3? Okay. So Connor, would you add on 1/3? So now what is he at? 2 2/3. What are we trying to get to?
5.
How do y'all know that?
That's the total.
That's the total he had to start with, right? We're doing the adding up. So if he's at 2 2/3, he added a third. What's he going to have to add now? What do you think?
Another third to get one.
Connor, could you show us another third? Why did that help us, sweetheart?
Because I made another hole.
Do you see that? So just like on our number line, we're getting to those friendly numbers. Now we're here. Now tell your neighbors, now that we've added on this much, he's at 3. Talk to your group. What would you add on next? All right, back with me. Everybody say it. What would you add on next? 1, 2, 3, say it. Oh, so you all would add 2 to get to 5. There, he did it for us. Now, is he at 5? Yeah, so he started at 2 1/3, and then he added up. Another thing I heard Connor talking about is that he knew the whole was 5, and he knew that part of that whole was 2 1/3. He was talking about this part-whole relationship. He knew 5, he knew part was 2 1/3, and so he instantly is looking at that oh, well, the other part must be 2 2/3 to get my whole. We just showed it in a bunch of different ways. So solving that problem with our regrouping and with our counting on. Did anybody do the constant difference where you shifted any? Did anybody do that strategy? I didn't see it when I was walking around. Do you want to take just 1 second to think about that strategy and this problem? Think about that. Think about that line. Think about how we move those numbers. Think about it for a second. Now talk to your neighbors. What would that look like? If you need to draw it out on your board, talk to your neighbors about what would the constant difference strategy look like for this problem. Talk to your neighbors. What would it look like? You can't do that. What would it look like? Think about the first problem when we had the 60 and the 27. Why did that, was it labeled 60 and 27?
Pretty much subtract.
That's what we're subtracting. So what are we subtracting in this problem? Can you show that on the number line? And then think about what would that look like? What would the number line look like? Remember the number line that kept the constant difference? What were the two ends? It was 60 and 27 was the problem. Oh, nice. So one side of the number line, but think about it, the whole is which number? Right, so we're definitely one of the sides is going to be 5. And the other side is going to be how much Connor used, right? Yeah, so what would that look like? What would this say right here? So we're 2 1/3. What are you hopping to in front? And so what are you going back? You're going back to how much? Okay, so if you're doing number left like that, you go back. But I mean, right here, what if I go back 1 step? You want to put G in it? Remember what was our other number? So if we went back 1/3 here, we got it in here. I bet 2 1/3. Now look what I have. This problem. Minus 4 and 2/3 times 2. All right, so let's, and I probably don't have time to get this on everything, do I? I want to share the solution that they are. I'm going to try it real quick. What do you want to do it on? Put on the screen here. This page P3